Hey beautifuls, Hannah here, Life Purpose Queen, awakening you to your dreams. I was going to do this live stream inside and then I'm like, no, I want to go outside. So there is not long also before your 2019 personal psychic readings will close, probably just after Christmas. So if you've been thinking about that, you want to grab into that. So if you're joining live, say hi, let me know you're here. I was going to go down the beach, but I think it's pretty windy, so I'm going to find somewhere to sit. Say hi, let me know you're here. Let me show you where I'm walking in this path. I love these paths. Where does your sacred path lead you? Hi, Calais. Hello. So, as always, I'm a little bit nervous to talk about this stuff that I'm talking about. It's a bit crazy, really, isn't it? I'm like, yes, let's talk about all the things that I don't want to talk about. Go figure. Hey, Deborah. So, talking about reactions, criticism, reacting to criticism, reacting to all of that, and I have a feeling this is going to go pretty deep. Hey, Ricky. Let me know if you guys do react in relationship. Hey, Tammy. Let me know if you react or respond most of the time. Just let me know. Give me a heads up. Hey, Shannon. All right. I'm just gonna find somewhere to sit. Kind of like this bit of the path here. So reacting, I know for me reactions have been like a biggest, I guess you could say a big problem in relationship. React, yeah, react, blah, 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 blah. React. Let me set up here. Hi. On this path here. Let me just sit. I was gonna maybe sit in the bush there, but I'll sit here. That's alright. Just let me put my little towel down. Hey, Amanda. Oh, can you guys let me know if you can hear me, because my earphones just kind of did a thingy thing. Alright, I'm assuming you guys can hear me. Alright, let's sit in the forest, on the forest path. Okay, sort myself out. Okay, let me check here. I react and respond to everything, especially my teenage daughter and my mother. Yep, yes, you can hear me. Good hope. Okay, thanks for letting me know about reacting and responding. And the biggest thing that I guess I've learned about reacting and responding is that, number one, if there are things out of alignment in my life, I react a lot easier. Yeah, so number one thing, if something's out of alignment, not necessarily with that person, like if there is other things out of alignment in my life, if there is other stresses going on, like about anything, right? That's kind of like building up of energy, if you may. And so whatever's going on here, I will react to, but it's not necessarily about that thing, but it's just like this build up of all these things. This is like pressure or whatever you want to call it, right? Now, I want you to take this, what I'm talking about, for your children as well, okay? Because this is like, we're going to talk like reactions, like this is like from an aware parenting perspective, this bit, especially with your children, like they call it the broken cookie scenario in aware parenting, hand-in-hand parenting. And basically it's like, for example, you know, like a toddler has like, you know, you have a busy day, you go out at the shops and you've got family over and like there's all this like activity going on and it's just like, oh, all this stuff, like, and it's like overstimulating, like there's just you've gone out, you've come home, it's full on, it's hectic, right? And so this little toddler's like got all this energy and all this like, there's all these things going on, and then all of a sudden like there's the last cookie in the jar and it's broken, and he has this massive tantrum about the broken cookie. I don't want a broken cookie, I want a full cookie, right? It's not about the cookie, it's about all this other stuff that's piled up. Okay, so when we react to something, it's usually not about that. Okay, now I guess I'm going to talk about myself because I guess it's the easiest example, right? So what I've realized about my reactions is that I have had and have a lot of hurt from my past that I haven't dealt with, and it comes out in those times when I'm most stressed, right? Now for women, and this is not being sexist or whatever, this is like a reality, and this is not something like, oh, let's blame it on that, right? It's not like, oh, let's blame it on the moon, let's blame it on the planet. It's like, no, okay, it's not what I'm doing. I'm pointing out that especially as an empath and as we feel everything, right? We know everything, we feel everything, we sense everything, like, and it gets overwhelming at times, okay? Especially when we've got our own stresses going on in life, and then we feel everyone else's stuff, and then we're like, we don't know whether we're Arthur or Martha, right? And hey, Pamela, say hi when you're joining, guys. And so in this space, it's like we get into this, like we're feeling everything, right? And I know for me, when I react about something, okay, there's all these factors and there's all this stuff from my past, like kind of sitting there that I haven't possibly dealt with, right? And I know for me in my 5-year relationship, when I'm going to call myself a narcissist, right? For those first 2 years, I really like can like only admit, like I own it, not like only that. It's like OWNLY, like I just created a word. I only, right? I'm owning it. It's kind of proper language, isn't it? Hey Tessa, hey Angela. That I was a bitch. Like I remember my ex sending me narcissist friggin', like articles and shit, and I'm like just brushed them off, right? And anyway, 5 years later, and 3 years of solid intense therapy with amazing Lois, hello, whole different person, and lots of wake up and lots of remorse and lots of regret and blah blah blah, right? But the point I want to share is that I guess if I look back, like those 2 years were the most amounts that I kind of reacted, and I know one of them, right, there's so many contributing factors, right? One of them is that I wasn't in alignment, right? Not that that person wasn't in alignment with me or that lifestyle wasn't in alignment or whatever. It was the fact that I wasn't in alignment with listening to my intuition. I was not in alignment with listening to my intuition, right? I knew from the very start, right, that relationship I probably shouldn't have entered in, but I did, right? And 5 years later, right? So I knew very early on that I didn't, okay? Now I also put on this title of this live stream, sharing about the truth of how I really feel about my current relationship breakup. And I was gonna do this as a separate audio part, but this morning I was like, it's kind of like what I'm talking about anyway, right? So I'm kind of melding these two things together here, these two topics. So because someone had messaged me, I think it was Saturday or something, and they're like, oh, like you seem like you've really got over your relationship and you like worked through the grief and like you've gone through that really quickly, like can you let me know, because I did a live stream in the private group and stuff, and they're like, can you let me know like how you did that? And I think there are a lot of people that would be able to like benefit from hearing for your like how you moved past that so quickly. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And like I was just speaking to a client about it before I got that message, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I obviously need to share this, right? And the thing is, I want to share, like, I think what she was saying as well, she's like, like how do you get through it and then not go back to the relationship or anything like that? And I'm like, well, that's why I said I'd talk about it, because the thing that I realized is it gets to a point, and this is where I talk about reactions, right? And reactions are, it does take a lot of time to get over relationships, and it doesn't at the same time, right? It does and it doesn't, yeah? For the simple fact that if you don't allow yourself to grieve properly, it will take you a lot of time, right? The only reason it takes us time to get over relationships is because we're not dealing with the grief, right? We're avoiding it, right? And usually in that avoidance, we go back to the relationship, we're still in contact with them. Like there's all this stuff, like any addiction will come up to cover up those feelings. We don't want to deal with it, right? Now, just because you're not dealing with it and you're using addictions doesn't mean that you're bad and all this sort of stuff, right? It just means that you need more support, basically, yeah? You need support to be able to know how to feel, yeah? Now, just get a message, I'm like, tell them now, I'm like, okay. Because of all of this as well, I've been guided to change a lot of my services and how I work in my business and how you see me turn up online and all this sort of thing, right? There's a lot of changes coming. In February 2019, all my prices are going up, right, for pretty much everything. So if there's anything that you want, you need to grab it before the prices go up if you've been waiting, okay? And then I'm also offering other packages and services coming out. So I'm feeling called to share this with you right now for some reason. I guess this is because it's like, this is the support that I'm being called to offer. There's like a 3-hour session package. So it's like 3 1 hour phone or video call. Like there's a package you can get, 3 sessions. Otherwise there's a cracking the code session as well. And the cracking the code is like, if there is something that has just been like blocking you for so long, you can't pinpoint it, you don't know what it is. And this cracking the code also uncovers what your unique life purpose is. So everyone has like, we all have a general like want to help society, blah blah blah, but this cracking the code actually unlocks what your specific little gift is. Little, they're not little, right? These gifts, yeah. So there's 2 more things that I'm offering. So if you want support or help, like just send me a private message about that, because we don't deal with the grief if we've never felt that, yeah? And the thing that I want to point out about, like when my friend Leanne, she's in my course, she's like sent me a message, it's like, how did you, get through that? And I'm like, well, I've actually been dealing with the grief. Like I've actually been facing it, and I guess what has given me the courage to do that is the fact that, like for this current relationship, is the fact that there's always a turning point, right? There's always a significant turning point in every single relationship, okay? And what I realized recently is that what happened in this recent relationship breakup, right, is that when I realized that he was speaking to other women just like he was speaking to me, right? Like that cut me to no end. Yeah, there's all these other side like things like, oh, well, you just thought he was like, you were special, Hannah, and you thought you were this and blah, 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 blah. And I know all that, right? There is all those things, yeah? And like, yes, you can love other women at the same time and blah, 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 because love is abundant and blah, blah, blah. Like there's all that shit, okay? What I want to really point out here is that for me, for my values, for what's important to me, what I value in a relationship, I value monogamy. I want a monogamous relationship. That's really important to me. Yes, I could forgive him, and yes, I can, like, oh yeah, that's just him, and like, and it is, right? And I can forgive him and I can forgive what's happened because I've come into deep acceptance after a lot of grief that that's who he is. Yeah? What I have also grieved deeply about is that we have different relationship values. Yeah? And we're just 2 different people, right? And it's like, what I really want to point out here is that moment in time, right? That moment in time when I realized that he was doing that and speaking to other women, that was my, I don't know what you want to call it, that was my cutoff, that was my line in the sand, that was where my deep values are, right? Because of that, that was where I can't go past. with that, it's like, yes, we could try and move forward in the relationship and I could forgive him and I could, get on with it. But what I realized is that any time any other issue comes up in the future, my reactions will take me back to that moment. So I'm talking about reactions, right? Everyone thinks reactions are like really bad, and they can be. They can be the cause of domestic violence and everything, okay? Big time. However, they are also showing you where your line in the sand is. They are showing you where your boundary is. They are showing you and trying to get your attention, showing you where your boundaries are, what's important to you, what you value. The only thing that will continue an unhealthy relationship and all the shit that goes along with it, and he said and she said and blah blah blah, is because you don't trust yourself enough to listen to what's important to you. You don't have enough faith in yourself, trust in yourself, courage, confidence to know that this is really important to you. Why don't we do that? Usually because of low self-worth, low self-esteem. We don't trust ourselves, we don't believe in ourselves, we've got all this childhood trauma and all this crap that we're still carrying, right? I have only learnt this because of my 5-year relationship. In my 5-year relationship that ended at the end of last year, what happened in those 5 years, and I mean the last kind of 2 to 3 years was very on and off. We're very rarely together, but the first 2 to 3 years we were quite consistent together. And the thing is that with that, it was about 4 months in, like a particular event happened, right? And for the rest of the 5 years, whenever anything would come up and I'd dig underneath and like, well, where is this really coming from? What's going on here? And I'd dig underneath that current event, it would always come back to that pivotal moment in time. For me, I didn't listen to myself. That pivotal moment in time is trying to get my attention and show me what was important to me and actually what I really wanted in life. Did I trust myself enough to like go forth and get that? Did I trust myself enough to like, that I could actually have what I wanted? No, I was like scared for whatever reason. I'm like, oh, I better make this work. Oh, apparently we have to forgive them and actually move on and actually, like still love that person. But hey, it doesn't matter about what's important to me, right? And when we do that, we shut ourselves down. And it shuts everything else down around us. So like puts this kind of cloak on us, right? So it's really important that, if you are considering or going through a relationship breakup or scared to like go through the grief, it's kind of like, where was that pivotal moment in time? Like if you ask yourself, like, what hurt me the most about that relationship? Where am I most hurt about, right? Now, yes, we can kind of like move beyond things. I'm not saying that we can't. It is a choice, right? We can move past things. We can forgive that person. We can, continue to have a relationship with them and, live the rest of our life with them. But that is a choice that you make within yourself, and you must come to peace with it. You must find that depth of like actually really releasing all the energetic stuff that goes underneath it, because otherwise it will be sitting there and your reactions will keep coming from that space, right? Now, on a deeper level of reactions, yeah? Someone says something to us, right? It triggers something in us and we get hurt, and it's our hurt that throws it back. It's the reaction, right? The reaction is the hurt. Yeah, and then we put up this wall and then all these other things happen, yeah? And we've just got these walls, and so we attract other people with walls and blah, 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 right? So the thing about moving through and past your reactions is like, as I said at the very start of this live stream, right? When we have so much stuff going on and we're not taking care of our reality, all these things build up, and so we react to what's going on currently because we've got all this kind of pressure, if you may, about everything that's happening, right? Hey Jethro, you've set your boundaries, yeah, know your own boundaries, yeah. And it's kind of like, well, why wouldn't we have boundaries? And it's like, why wouldn't we? Why don't we have boundaries? We might have boundaries, yeah? But yes, they got all these boundaries, and then someone comes along and we're like, oh, let's just drop the boundaries, right? Why do we do that? Why do we have really strong boundaries and then someone can just waltz into our life and we drop all those boundaries? What causes that? Give me some answers. Let me know what you've got going on there. What comes through about that? So Kelly says, I react, but usually not to the person I need to. Yep, you hold it in and then get upset at home alone. This is going to do the thing and not let me see the rest of the comment. I don't know why. I can't see the rest of your comment there, Kelly. For some reason it won't let me see it. The birdies. Reactions set off a chain reaction. Yes, right? So if a reaction, you trust too easily. Yes, you trust the other person instead of yourself. Yeah? We got really clear boundaries. We're strong and we're like, yes, this is what's going on. And then someone comes in and like what we do is we hand our power over to them and we trust them over our intuition. Yeah? And there's the crow just saying, hey, I'm here too. I just didn't hear him before. Him or her. So reactions set off a chain reaction, right? Because everything is energy. Yeah? Everything is energy. And so someone will say something, we are hurt and we've got all this pressure and stuff going on, and if our self-care is low and all this sort of thing, right? If it sets off a chain reaction, like you said, so then another reaction comes and then this person like responds to your reaction, and then it's like, that's why it's like this, right? So how do we stop that? Self-care, boundaries, self-worth, self-esteem, self-love. Yeah, it's kind of like, well, how do we move past that? And then the other thing that comes into play here with this about reactions or responding is, for me personally, I grew up in families that reacted. Yeah, reactions were the form of communication. Now, some people say, well, that's in your DNA, blah, 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 and aren't we lucky we can recode our DNA? Yeah, it takes brain training, it takes rewiring, it takes discipline, it takes practice, it takes a willingness to change. You have to be willing to change your reality to be able to put these things into practice. Yeah, a willingness to face your reality of why you attracted this and take radical responsibility for every single thing in your life. Radical responsibility. Radical responsibility. I get upset at home alone. This leads to being upset about everything I've been holding. Yes, exactly. Oh, why won't it let me see it? I can't, like, it says like click see more and I can't see it. Okay. Not just a thing, I'm assuming. Yeah, and this is what I was talking about, the broken cookie scenario, right? So that broken cookie, and it's like it wasn't even about that, right? It wasn't even about that thing. It's like everything else has been building up, right? And this is why taking time for reflection. What is it? Responding? Oh, yeah. Ownership to self, yes. You don't drop your boundaries. We just let them in the back door for a bit of fun. Then, oh, it's so annoying. I can't see the comment. I can't see the rest of your comment. Yes, you grew up in a dysfunctional family, abusive. Yes, most of us did. Yeah? And it's up to us to take radical responsibility for that. Not for them, for our way that we've learnt to relate, and take radical responsibility for us to learn how to relate in healthy ways. Again, it takes a willingness to change, to do the work, to discipline, and sometimes that means removing yourself from a lot of people, even just for a time, to reflect, to regain yourself, to learn and understand how to respond around people who are reactive, right? Yeah, I do that too. A doubt for me and not believing and trusting myself. Yes, exactly. Yeah. When we always know. And the thing is, when we start doing this, we will be tested. These people will come along and now, like show us and we're like, ooh, red flag, okay, right? We have to be mindful of them. Recreated my parents' relationship. Yes, yeah, and we do that, yeah? And that's the thing, it's like taking radical responsibility and, like not blaming your parents, not blaming your family, not blaming your generational line. It's like, okay, what can I do about this, right? And the triple goddess and the triune god clear and heal that generational lineage and break those cycles, yeah? On an energetic DNA thing, this is what I'm talking about. We can, we can recode our own DNA, and the triple goddess and triune god meditations do that, the divine balance. Find it deeply confronting to face what we too are abusive in some way. Yes, 100%, right? Like the past 3 years of me in intense, I say therapy, Lois does a very different form of therapy. It's like her own thing, and I freaking love it. Very, very powerful. It is about us facing the reality, and facing reality is something we don't want to do, right? So relationships, and I just want to point out relationships, abusive, like abuse, reactions, pain, what's the other thing? I guess victim is coming to mind. These are all addictions in themselves. They're addictions in themselves. Pity parties, sadness, they're all addictions in themselves, right? Joy can be an addiction. Anything can become an addiction. Yeah, that's where deep, it is easier said than done. Yeah, it is a constant choice. Yeah, it's a constant choice to be willing to change, and the more you do it, the easier it does become. Yeah, because we've just formed these habits, we've just formed these ways of relating. We weren't like that when we were born. Murderers were not murderers when they were born. Rapists were not rapists when they were born, right? Everyone was not who they are today when they were born. Okay, they've learned and absorbed everything from around them. They've created their own like things that they've been hurt from, and then they put up their hurt, and then that's who they become, and they put up these walls, and then this is who they become, and they don't know any other way of being because that's who they've become. They don't, do you know what I mean? Like it's like this space in time of like nobody was like that when they were a baby. No one was like that when they were born, right? We learn everything, and we can unlearn everything and relearn what we want to learn and who we are really at our core, but it is a choice and a constant choice. If you think how old you are now, right, that's how many years you've learned these patterns, right? It doesn't take that long to unlearn them with a willingness to change and relearn new patterns, but it does take a discipline, a choice, and a willingness to grow into this. Yeah? Conditioned, yeah. They are addictions, right? And this is the thing, like, you know, and talk about negative thinking even, right? Or like worrying, or, you know, like whatever your pattern is, whatever you're like, oh, I'm always worrying about this. It's like, well, yeah, you can choose to like go and have fun and go and, you know, do something on your own, like when you're child free and whatever. But it's like, oh, but I'm so worried about my child, like with them. And it's like, well, have you put anything in place to, you know, protect your child? Maybe you need a protection order or something like that, right? And it's like, well, no, I haven't. It's like, well, you will be worrying about it until you do something like that. And then because you're giving your power away as well. It's like you've got this time to resource yourself, to strengthen yourself, and to, you know, have some fun and joy. But you're addicted to the pain, you're addicted to the worry, right? Now, when people would say this to me years ago, like, oh, you're addicted to the pain and you're addicted to the drama, do you know how fucking pissed off I would get at them? I'm like, fuck you. Addicted to the drama? I'm like, right? And I used to be like that, right? And I still see that there's still those aspects playing out in me. You know, I attracted this relationship because there's still stuff in my vibration that I needed to clear out. And I wasn't aware of it until it came into my reality. It was a big wake-up call for me. I'm just reading these comments. Yep, broken the cycles and you're on your own path now. Yeah. And the amazing things that happen when we break an addiction. Whew, hello, dream life. I'm just seeing, there was more comments up here. Yes, exactly, Deborah. Yeah, exactly, Pamela. Sometimes we do need to remove ourselves, 100%. Need to remove ourselves, like, you know, like for a period of time, sometimes forever, sometimes not. Sometimes, you know, we just need a period of time on our own so we can come back in. And then when we do come back in, sometimes those patterns can be automatically, like we just step back into those patterns, right? And then it can take a little bit like, oh shit, why am I even reacting like that? Do you know what I mean? It's like a magnetic, you know, kind of like I don't know what it is, right? But there's some sort of coding, or like, you know, we need to like rewire that within our DNA, right? that can shift that. And then when we do that, we can do all this inner work, and then when we actually face the reality and we come back into the physical situation of it with these people, right, what we need to do is that's when we really need our willingness on board. We need to really ground ourselves in. We need to make sure our self-care is like top notch to walk back into that situation with full grounded awareness of like, okay, I'm like, you know, because we might step back into that pattern and it's like, okay, cool, wow, this pattern's going on, and we might not react to it or buy into it, but we can still feel all our body going and wanting to react in the way that we usually would, or speak, or whatever it is. And it's catching it in that moment, like all internal within yourself, and going, actually, I'm not going to do that this time, right? And you might just listen, or you might walk out of the room, or you might do something else, right? It's kind of like we have to change the behavior, but that takes a willingness and awareness to do that and not get caught up and pulled into other people's stuff, because usually there's some kind of like, you know, like there's always a pull there, right? And it's like, you know, breaking that pull. It's a bit like what I was talking about the other day on live stream. Same sort of thing. A lot of wake up calls. Yeah. So, sorry, what was that, Kelly? If Father signing me away at his birth has tangled my life 55 years at this age, can I change these? Yes, it's never too late to change anything, but it does take consistent willingness, dedication, and work for sure. So the other thing is, like, with I'm going to talk about reactions, is like a positive and a negative reaction, right? There's always a positive and there's always a negative reaction. Now, this is something I've only recently learned, and what I have realized with my reactions, they cut me off from the world. My reactions totally block me off from receiving, right? My reactions create a wall. So especially like my negative reactions, yeah? And a negative reaction will always create a negative response from people, right? Remember, we are responding to people and people are responding to us. Whether they're reactions or responses, it's the same, right? In a way. And when we are, you know, say someone says something to us, and if we react, we're like, no, like, you know, whatever, it's like we put that negative response back. We might not even know we're doing it. For myself, I didn't know for a long time, yeah? And what that does is they feel that energy, and of course they're going to respond back like that, especially if they're not so grounded, self-aware, blah, 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 whatever the word is, right? So it's up to us as, you know, empaths, sensitive beings, conscious, slightly conscious, aware people, right? To be able to hold that space, be conscious and sensitive to the energy, what's going on around us. So when we actually, you know, like someone throws something at us negative or whatever, it's also like our sense of self-worth, self-esteem, self-care, that if that's all low, right, we're going to take these things personally. And that's where we throw that back as well, right? If we don't have a high sense of self-worth and self-esteem, and we're taking radical responsibility for every aspect of our life, every aspect, right? We're going to have a reaction back to that person. When we are confident, when we got all our shit together, these little negative things don't even enter our field, right? They might, but we're like, oh, yeah? So when we kind of cop that from someone, we can respond in a way that can also like change that person. It can either wake them up, they can disappear, or they can keep trying, and then you remove yourself. Yeah, even for a time. Like, hey, I need to take care of myself right now. I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm just going to remove myself. I'm going to go and take care of myself. I'll be back at such and such a time, right? And like, you know, leave the space without abandonment, right? As Lois would say, my mentor, with all care intact, yeah? Hey, Renee. Yeah, exactly, right? So working on yourself and like low self-esteem, low self-worth, there's, you know, so many things we could do about that, but it is about taking radical responsibility for every single aspect of your life. Yeah, every single aspect, no blame at all. So Deborah says, yeah, we have to have our armor on from self-care to be top notch to face these people. Yeah, and it's not armor, it's just like, it's an energy, it's a complete energy. Yeah. And the other thing I want to talk about is that what I have, hey Renee, I don't know if I just said that, did I? I know I saw your comment. The whole thing around, like, what I've noticed with reactions is they're very, for me personally, they're very masculine, very wall, very blah, right? When we're deeply in our power, we have a balance of masculine and feminine within us, and then we can hold that space with gentleness and love, but we also have the masculine boundaries in place protecting us, right? And knowing when to take action to remove ourselves or to take other action as well. Yeah, so it's definitely masculine, feminine energy. Like, do you sit more in your masculine doing energy, or do you sit more in your feminine receiving energy? Yeah, that's also a big one, and it's a big thing that I've realized in myself, and I'm probably going to talk about that on a different live stream at some point, because it's been a huge wake up this year for me, especially the last 6 months. And everything is changing in my business and online, and how I show up and everything as well. Yay for it being so much better now, Deborah. Yay, that's awesome. Keep working, keep growing that, keep strengthening that. Okay, if you think this live stream can help somebody, please share it. Or if anyone's got any questions about reactions that we've been talking about, you can comment them below now, and I'll just see if there's anyone got any questions about reactions or anything like that. Taking radical responsibility for your life. Otherwise, I will jump off here. So if you think this can help somebody, please share it with them in a private message, or comment below, tag their name in it, or share it on your page. And there's not much longer now, so the 2019 psychic readings, if you want me to be your personal guide for the entire of 2019, that will be closing just after Christmas. So if you want to get into that, the link is in the title of this live stream. I'll share it in the comments when I jump off of this live stream as well. And that is like, so there's 13 psychic readings in that. Hey Shellyanne, just about to jump off this live stream. There's 13 psychic readings, so there's only 12 months in the year, but there's 13, which is like an overlying reading for 2019, so you get like a whole picture of you, and then I go through each month for you as well. For a personal psychic reading, there is a VIP option as well. If you want my unlimited help for the entire 2019, having me in your pocket and by your side, there's a VIP option for that as well. So the link is above in the title of the live stream. I shall jump off, and I shall see you very soon in a couple of hours for this weekly intuitive forecast energy. See what's happening this week, shall we? Namaste.